welcome back to the channel. I'm John and this is Dennis, and today we're actually going to be filming a review for a video that's been recommended for us to review for a while, and that is for Turbo Kid. Tony O, one of our subscribers, has been asking us on the channel for a while now to review this movie, and I originally planned on doing this months ago, but I honestly completely forgot. So I'm glad we finally got around to it because this movie is fantastic. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of movie reviews, 4K Blu-ray reviews, tech reviews, game reviews, we try and do them all here on the channel. Nothing helps us out more than by subscribing and liking this video. I wanted to do this video so bad, but I figured, why don't I tell Dennis about this? This seemed like a movie that was right up your alley. This was recommended to me, like, kind of similar to Psycho Goreman. You liked Psycho Goreman. I love Psycho Goreman. And it was similar to it. What did you think of Turbo Kid?
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. You know, as much of a horror fan as I am, sci-fi is very hit or miss for me. So when you told me about this, I was like, all right, but I went in with low expectations, to be honest. And my God, was I blown away. I feel like, to be honest with you, there are times in film where you watch a movie and it doesn't matter how silly the story is, how ridiculous the whole plot is, you can just tell that every single person involved was having the time of their life.
Yep.
And I feel like that's this film. I had such a great time watching this, even though it's kind of ridiculous. From start to finish, I was hooked. Cannot stop singing the praises for this. It was absolutely unbelievable.
It really was. This is it was just awesome that I got to actually see this. This is directed by rkss. They're a directing trio. They did a phenomenal job. They got Michael Ironside in this movie. You might know him as the voice of Sam Fisher. He was in Total Recall, Scanners. This is a legend, and they got him in this movie, which feels like a very low-budget movie that takes place in 1997 in a post-apocalyptic world. So it kind of had like this Mad Max feeling to it, but done in like a different sci-fi horror kind of way with a low budget. Kind of feels like a 90s cartoon. I can't say anything bad about this movie. It's going to be hard for me to, because like you said, I really love this movie.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was so good. I think it was really just a classic. I did get a lot of Mad Max vibes from it, but not enough to be like, oh, you're obviously ripping it off.
No.
Just enough that I was like, all right, it's in the same ballpark. But also, I don't know, maybe some classic gamers remember the game Mega Man.
It does feel like Mega Man too, especially what he's wearing.
Yeah,
that can't be it has to be an homage to Mega Man.
Has to be, because down to the point where he literally has a glove on his hand.
Yeah.
That he just and shoots energy beam. I never thought I'd have this much fun with this film, but everything about it, even to be honest with you, the gore.
Well, I was gonna bring up the gore. Yeah.
By God.
It's so over the top that it's almost not even like gory. It's such a over the top ridiculous amount. It's not going to offend anyone. It's like it's so cheesy that it's done perfectly. It fits right into everything else in the movie. Like just the stuff that they're doing. The one guy has the blade on his arm when he cuts someone's head off. Like, it looks awesome.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, like, surprising if it was a low budget, because the effects weren't bad.
No.
The gore, one of my favorite, I laughed so hard. There was the one scene where one of the guys gets cut in half, and his upper torso lands on top of another guy's head.
Oh yeah, they did that.
And he just walks around like this with the torso stuck on him, and it was so hilarious that you don't even care that there's like blood everywhere. I just can't even say enough. This movie was fantastic.
And it's got a heart to it, because our lead character, he's lonely. He had to watch his parents die in front of him, killed by Michael Ironside in another brutal way.
Oh yeah.
Did he make the X out of their body? Oh my God, it was insane. So and now he's trying to survive on his own, but he finally meets somebody, and it turns out it's this girl named Apple. She turns out in the end, this is spoilers, if you don't want to know anymore, I would say go watch this movie and come back, because it's an awesome movie. It's available on Peacock here in America. You should check it out right now, and then come back and see what we think of it. But she turns out to be a robot.
Yep.
But he's looking for companionship, and he's lonely, and this is somebody who's going to be his friend. She just wants to be his friend. I mean, he's a little worried at first because her old friend is not doing well.
Yeah, no, when they meet in the playground, she slaps a bracelet on him and says, I'll be right back, and runs over, and she's talking to someone behind like a slide or something. She's like, oh, you don't have to worry about me anymore. And then we see it's literally a skeleton.
Yeah.
A decomposed skeleton. So he's a little, worried about that. Turns out I think they say she's a friend drone.
Yeah, that's literally what she is. She's basically built for that, because there's another robot in there who's built for killing.
Yeah. And the premise of it, like you said, he's alone, surviving in this post-apocalyptic world. water is a scarce resource, and Michael Ironside's character, the big baddie, he's like the kingpin. He runs everything. Everything goes through him. You know, basically what he figures out is he designs a machine that when you kill people and drain their body out, it can separate the water from their body and their blood, so you get clean drinking water from dead people.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. They roll in a barrel, and inside it's just fresh water, which is a spoof on Mad Max, which was dealing with like oil and gas.
Yeah.
So I get what they were going for with that, but it's just funny that it's just fresh water.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. And then they have the other guy too. He's I got big time Indiana Jones vibes from him.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everything from the jacket and the hat, his accent, like he was basically Indiana Jones.
Yeah, the way he looked was Indiana Jones mixed with Carl Urban's character from The Boys.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much like, you know, just a badass guy who just wants to do everything. But yet he's kind of not really that great at his job, which I thought was awesome too.
Yeah, like he's this big, you know, he's supposed to be this big bad enforcer outlaw guy, but like the first fights he gets into, he loses his hand, which also was hilarious because he's sitting there screaming and the blood from his hand just
shooting
like a faucet. It's so ridiculous, and he's like, "Oh!" as it's shooting.
I'm waiting for him to bleed out, but he's in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it was just I honestly can't say enough. This was such a fun film. And then, you know, in the end, you know, good guy prevails, and you know, but not after, you know, an easy fight. That is a gore-filled bloodbath of a brawl that they have there.
Well, yeah, because it turns out Michael Ironside himself is a robot, but he's a strong robot. He's not anything that's going to be taken out easily, which explains why he's lived this long.
The thing about the film is it over the top with the gore? Yes. Are the fight scenes hilariously bloody and violent? Yes. You know, is there a lot of humor in it? Yes. But the story at its core is pretty heartfelt. You know, in this apocalyptic world, the kid, you know, all he looked up to this superhero in a comic book because his parents were killed. We find out later that it was Ironside's character who killed them, and all because they had their own water source. And he was like, I own everything here, you can't have water if I don't give it to you. And he has them both killed. So then it's kind of a revenge plot, you know, like, now here's this kid to avenge his parents' death and try to restore order back to the world. So at its core, even the story is great.
Oh yeah, I thought it was just a beautiful story with a beautiful score. The only places that it was like noticeably cheap is definitely like they don't really have to use much sets. It's kind of in wide open plains and everything like that.
Yeah.
So that kind of like will cover it up. The sets look cheap and dirty and everything like that. The costumes do, but that adds to the charm of the movie.
They do kind of play, like you said, into that Mad Max spoof thing, because some of the outfits the guys are wearing, like, I'm a hockey fan, so it was hilarious to see some old school hockey helmets on the guys.
Yeah.
They're wearing, like, goalie chest protectors, like, stuff that isn't really body armor, it's just old sports equipment. So I think, being that it's a post-apocalyptic film, that kind of helps if it's a low budget, because you wouldn't expect these guys to come out with full-on ballistics gear. So it's like, the world ended, what can you find to protect yourself? Oh, here's an old catcher's uniform, and here's, you know, a hockey chest protector and a goalie mask. So I think that plays nicely into the film, because some of the guys that are supposed to be intimidating are also kind of hilarious looking.
Yeah, especially like it takes place in 1997, so all the stuff they have, like technology hasn't advanced. But that one guy with that freaking skull mask, that was crazy. And like he's a lunatic. There's something wrong with him. He's just basically just the muscle.
No, he was. You know, I just, again, everything about it, like you said, the sets they basically were in the same two places. You know, they were in his little hideout, the Turbo Kid's hideout, and then Ironside's hideout, and then it was kind of just a plane where they would meet up and fight and stuff. So
just a big open field where they could film on is what it looked like.
Yeah, so I really think that it played right into their hand. They did a perfect job. They knew, if we don't have the money, here's where we can cut the corners and still have a great film. Because like I said, everything about it, you know, even the acting, the robot girl, Apple, she was hilarious because she's supposed to just be so positive and all this stuff. So like even when she's killing someone, she's just like laughing about it.
Yeah, she's laughing about it because she's just having so much fun with it, because that's what she's good at. She's a happy, like she's just trying to be friends. That's it. And I love that. I mean, that adds some more philosophical questions, which I don't think this film was diving into. But what makes a human? You know, that's a whole thing that sci-fi's always dived into.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't think this movie is very lighthearted.
Yeah, I think you're right. It absolutely is lighthearted, even though it does examine a lot of, like, hardcore things, and, you know, there's a lot of, like we said, violence and action and blood and stuff. It's lighthearted, it's funny pretty much all the way throughout, and then the one thing that wasn't so funny, was kind of a downer, is in the end. So Apple ends up getting decapitated, so Turbo Kid brings her head to a robot cemetery, puts it on another body, just so happens there's another, girl's body there, so right on that. She comes back to life and helps him in the end to defeat the evil villain and, take control, but then she dies again, and in kind of a shocking twist, because it was such a lighthearted movie, he decides to just bury her like a person instead of trying to take her head off and put it on a different robot again.
Yeah, which is weird, but I guess that's dealing well, now I'm going to give her the proper death that she deserves. She, to me, she was my friend. I loved her like a real friend, even though she's a robot. She deserves a proper burial like a friend should get.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that should be noted is they are making a Turbo Kid 2, so I'm curious if they bring her back or what their plan is, because this movie came out in 2015, so that's 7 years ago. They're both very much adults now. I think they're both older than us, and even though I look like I'm 20, I am not, unfortunately. I'm curious what they do, but if it's everyone coming back from the original, I'm excited. I'll definitely be seeing it. I can't believe it took me this long to see it. Tonio, thank you so much, buddy. We really appreciate it. I'm sorry it took me so long to get to this. It really shouldn't have, because it's a great movie. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10.
Wow, 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I loved it. I'm going to buy it on Blu-ray. I haven't checked to see if it's on Blu-ray yet, but if it is, I'm buying it.
All right, no, I agree with you. I actually was thinking to go 10 out of 10. I think that this film, I try not to throw 10 out of 10.
Well, that's the thing, is as much as I love it, it's you gotta kind of have a moving scale. 10 out of 10 is a perfect film. No film is really perfect. There's a few out there.
Yeah, I'll agree with you then. 9 out of 10. There's really not a lot I don't like about this film. Hardly anything at all. And I just can't recommend it enough. Anyone out there, because I feel like a lot of times when reviewing films for this channel, we don't have fun with them. There's some new films that come out that they're not executed well, the story's not great, the acting, something about it is off, and we don't really enjoy ourselves thoroughly. It's a decent time watching, but this film, I can say you're going to have fun.
Yeah.
The whole time you're going to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. When especially us, we review movies for the channel, that means we have to watch everything, and sometimes we get stuck watching a movie that, normally I'd just turn off and be like, I'm wasting my time, but no, we got to come on here and review it. But, with this, I was like, oh man, I'm having a great time. And I actually felt like I get that feeling back of why I love film.
Yeah.
And this movie added to that, and I can't wait. I can't wait for Turbo Kid 2. I want you guys to all see that. Hopefully you guys see Turbo Kid. Like I said, it's on Peacock. You can rent it. It's available. Yep. Check it out. You'll definitely be doing yourself a favor. And you want to do yourself a really good favor? Why don't you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and then wait for it, I want you to go tell all your friends about us.